She said black men aren't romantic, but when a white man gave her everything, what happened next shocked everyone. This story flips the entire narrative on its head. Ever since I started spending more time online, I've noticed a recurring sentiment among many black women, one that has slowly evolved into a broader cultural conversation. Across YouTube channels, podcasts, TikTok videos, and Twitter threads, countless black women have voiced their frustrations and disappointments with the state of modern relationships, particularly those involving black men. The heart of this frustration often revolves around emotional connection, or more specifically, the lack of it. Many women describe feeling unseen, underappreciated, or unloved in ways that transcend the material or physical aspects of relationships. Over and over again, I've heard a similar refrain. Black men don't know how to be romantic, or they don't show affection the way other men do. These statements, while painful, seem to capture an emotional truth that many women are wrestling with. They're not necessarily accusing all black men of being cold or unfeeling. Rather, they're expressing a collective ache, a desire to be cherished, adored, and emotionally prioritized. For these women, romance isn't about grand gestures or luxury trips. It's about consistent tenderness, verbal affirmation, and vulnerability. In response to this perceived emotional gap, some black women are increasingly exploring relationships outside their race, particularly with white men. This shift isn't always rooted in disdain for black men, as critics sometimes assume, but in an attempt to experience love differently, to find partners who express care in more visible, emotionally open ways. It's less about rejection and more about seeking fulfillment where they believe it might exist. But to understand this phenomenon, we need to go deeper than surface-level stereotypes. We have to consider the social and historical contexts that shape how love and masculinity are expressed in the black community. Black men have historically faced a unique kind of emotional repression, a survival mechanism forged by centuries of systemic racism, economic oppression, and cultural expectations. From a young age, many are taught to equate strength with silence and vulnerability with weakness. They're told to man up, to swallow pain, and to maintain composure in a world that often devalues their existence. Over time, this conditioning seeps into romantic dynamics. Some black men grow up without seeing healthy models of affection. They may have internalized the idea that showing too much love makes them look soft or less masculine. In turn, this can create emotional distance in relationships, not because they don't love deeply, but because they've been taught not to show it. For the women on the receiving end, that silence can feel suffocating. Meanwhile, in contrast, white men, or at least the way they're perceived, are often viewed as being more emotionally demonstrative. Whether that's due to cultural differences, media representation, or personal experience, some black women find in these men the kind of open affection and verbal appreciation they crave. They describe feeling seen in ways they hadn't before, being told they're beautiful, being celebrated for their achievements, or being surprised with simple gestures that make them feel loved. Of course, not every interracial relationship fits this mold, and not every black man lacks romantic expression. But perception plays a powerful role in shaping dating behavior. When someone repeatedly feels underappreciated within their own community, it's natural to seek love elsewhere, even if subconsciously. For many women, dating a white man becomes a form of emotional exploration, a space where they can exhale and be soft without fear of being dismissed as too emotional or too needy. However, it's also important to acknowledge the complexities here. Romance and affection aren't universal traits tied to race. They're individual expressions influenced by upbringing, personality, and culture. While some white men may appear more emotionally expressive, others may not be. Similarly, there are countless black men who are gentle, loving, and deeply committed to showing affection. The challenge lies in how we, as a society, frame and reinforce narratives about love and emotion within different communities.
Out loud for my birthday, as y'all remembered, he took me to the Beyonce concert. I got a massage. He took me to a fancy steakhouse overlooking the river. I did a whole vlog about it. He gave me a nice little purse. He did a lot. And at that time, me and him had only been seeing each other for 1 month at that point. So July 12th back then, when he did all that, he had only seen me, met me, dated me for about a month.
Media and pop culture play a major role in this perception. For decades, Hollywood and mainstream storytelling have painted a distorted picture of Black love. Black women are often portrayed as strong but unyielding, and Black men as stoic, unavailable, or emotionally detached. Rarely do we see examples of Black tenderness celebrated on screen. When we do, such as in films like Love Jones or The Photograph, the response from audiences shows how deeply we crave to see that side of ourselves reflected. But because those portrayals are rare, the stereotypes persist, subtly shaping how people internalize what love looks like in different communities. Social media has only amplified these perceptions. Platforms like TikTok and Instagram have become digital diaries where Black women share stories of their dating experiences, sometimes joyful, often painful. They post videos about partners who failed to communicate, who mocked their emotions, or who seemed emotionally unavailable. Then, in contrast, they share moments with partners who do the opposite, partners who cook dinner, plan dates, write notes, or simply listen. It's easy to see why those posts go viral. They speak to a collective yearning for softness, for love that feels safe. But beneath the romantic comparisons lies a deeper cultural conversation. Many Black women aren't just asking for flowers or compliments. They're asking to be emotionally prioritized. They're calling for a shift in how Black men approach love, not through materialism or dominance, but through emotional reciprocity and presence. They want to see Black love evolve beyond survival mode and into something more nurturing, intentional, and healing. Yet, this conversation shouldn't become a battleground. It's not about pitting Black women against Black men or glorifying interracial relationships as inherently superior. It's about acknowledging the pain and unmet needs that exist within many relationships and asking how we can do better collectively. Black men, too, have emotional wounds that need healing. They, too, struggle under the pressure of societal expectations that discourage softness. If anything, these dialogues should inspire understanding rather than resentment. The solution lies in mutual accountability. Black women deserve to feel loved openly, and Black men deserve the space to express vulnerability without fear of ridicule. That's the foundation of healthy intimacy, emotional safety on both sides. Until both partners feel free to show up authentically, love will continue to be filtered through the lens of pain, misunderstanding, and misplaced expectations. So when we see Black women exploring relationships with white men, it shouldn't be reduced to a betrayal or a trend. For many, it's an act of self-preservation, a decision to seek love in its fullest form, wherever it may appear. At its core, this shift is a reminder that everyone deserves tenderness, appreciation, and emotional connection. Love should never feel like a fight for validation. And perhaps, if we as a community take these conversations seriously, not as attacks, but as opportunities to grow, we might start to rewrite the narrative of what Black love looks like. One that is open, expressive, and rooted in mutual care. Because at the end of the day, that's what most people, regardless of color, are searching for, to be loved deeply and seen completely.
Beat me in the back of the head.
I did, because literally I was minding my business, I was having a good night. You wanted to start on that bullshit, and
I
now
didn't do
I'm on
anything, Day.
Now
You were
I'm
the
on
one
it.
who made the call to that
Now I'm
dude.
on it. Oh, I made the call.
Or he called you.
I made the call.
He
I made
called
the
you.
call.
You shouldn't have answered.
I made the call.
You called him back.
Who answered?
You did.
Who?
Not me.
Put it on what?
Dave,
Put it
my
on
back of my
I'll
head's
check
fucked up.
I'll check my
I
car
have
records right
welts.
now. Now what?
Dave,
Now what?
My back of my...
I'm tired.
back-
I'm tired of you, bitch.
Jesus.
I did nothing but try
This
to show
is-
you love.
oh, yeah.
And you don't do nothing but do, like, what?
Yeah. You by beating me up and attacking me. It's on the back of my... That's on the back.
Take this YouTuber, for instance. She proudly highlights how wonderful her white partner is and all the thoughtful things he does for her. This kind of praise is something I often notice from many Black women online. It's become almost a recurring theme. Stories and posts celebrating the attentiveness, care, and romance they experience in interracial relationships with white men. However, what rarely gets discussed is the other side of the story. What happens when white men express dissatisfaction in their relationships with Black women? For example, There's currently a viral case involving a TikToker named Stephen Menendian, a white man whose black girlfriend reportedly cheated on him. But that's only part of the situation. In this situation, the YouTuber highlights a white man named Stephen Menendian, who's recently gone viral on TikTok after revealing troubling experiences with his black girlfriend. According to his posts, she has been physically aggressive, striking him several times on the back of the head, and this violence allegedly followed his discovery that she was being unfaithful. Even after being confronted, she reportedly continued to lash out rather than take accountability. Unfortunately, this wasn't an isolated incident. In one of the videos, Stephen can be heard asking her if she hit him, to which she bluntly replies, "Yes, I did." Other clips on his TikTok show even more disturbing behavior. She spits on him, yells, and becomes combative whenever she's caught cheating. Of course, those particular moments can't be displayed on platforms like YouTube because they violate content guidelines, but the behavior is well documented across his posts. The situation gets even messier. In one exchange, she's seen demanding money, specifically for weed and gas, and becomes enraged when he refuses. Yet, when their relationship ends, she shifts her tone completely, portraying herself as a victim. She tearfully claims she moved halfway across the country for him, gave up her income, and only received minor gifts like small Amazon packages in return. Her narrative paints her as a woman who sacrificed everything for love, but the videos suggest a very different dynamic. What caught my attention, however, was the reaction in the comments section, especially from black women. Rather than expressing genuine empathy, many seemed more interested in Stephen himself. Comments like, "You still call her bae? She doesn't deserve you," and "Babe, I'd never treat you like that," filled the thread. Some even lamented that the girlfriend had messed up the opportunity of a lifetime. Stephen seems to identify as a liberal man, and from what's visible on his page, he primarily dates black women. He often posts videos showing off his home or lifestyle, one of which, titled "Backyard Vibes," drew plenty of attention from black female commenters. It's as if he's indirectly advertising his availability to that particular audience. One comment stood out: "She's not a soft black girl. Sorry you had a bad experience. We're not all like that." That statement reflects a familiar sentiment: black women trying to remind others that one person's behavior shouldn't define an entire community. Stephen replied that he wasn't sure his girlfriend ever truly respected him, suggesting she may have viewed him as too soft. To be fair, we can't know every detail. Relationships are complex, and while his posts frame him as the victim, there may be more to the story. Still, the conversations sparked by his experience revealed deeper social undercurrents. Another commenter wrote, "You're not weak. You're a man with integrity. Keep being good, and you'll find your queen." The use of the word queen is especially interesting. It's a term often used within the black community to uplift black women, yet here it's being used to encourage a white man. It shows how cultural language can shift when empathy and attraction overlap. But the broader issue is about bias and generalization. When someone has a painful encounter with a member of any group, it's easy to let that shape future judgments, even unintentionally. I've seen this happen often, even within my own experience living abroad. After repeated disappointments or cultural clashes, people naturally grow cautious, sometimes unfairly extending their skepticism to everyone who resembles the person who hurt them. That might explain why some of these women were quick to jump into Stephen's comments, trying to prove that they're not like her. One woman even joked, "She's making it bad for all of us. I want to try some white chocolate, but now they'll be scared of us." Her humor masks a deeper frustration. Many women desire interracial experiences, yet fear that the actions of one person could tarnish the perception of all. In the end, what we're witnessing isn't just a messy breakup. It's a mirror reflecting how online relationships, cultural stereotypes, and social biases intersect. It reminds us that every personal story can quickly become a public spectacle, and in the process, entire communities get pulled into the conversation, whether fairly or not. Reading through the comments, one person sighed, "Shaking my head. I hope you heal from this and cut her out of your life." Stephen responded with a simple "thank you." Another commenter chimed in, "She has no business treating this white man like that." Of course, as the narrator points out, no one deserves to be treated that way, regardless of race. Then came a particularly sharp comment calling out some of the women in the thread. "Y'all are so embarrassing in these comments, acting like pick ass. If he or any man chooses to judge all black women based on one experience, that's on them. You're the ones making us look bad. We're not all like this." And honestly, there's truth in that statement. While it's unfair to generalize an entire group based on one toxic relationship, that's often what happens, especially across cultural or racial lines. When someone from a different background has a negative experience, it can easily reinforce stereotypes they already hold or make them hesitant to engage again. Still, the commenter's frustration is valid. She's defending the integrity of black women who don't behave that way, trying to separate individuals from harmful generalizations. Another person, however, took a very different approach and asked, "Well, what did you do to make this beautiful queen act like that?" A comment that perfectly illustrates a deeper problem. Instead of holding the woman accountable, this mindset assumes the man must have provoked her behavior. Stephen responded with his side of the story. He said he discovered that his girlfriend was cheating with another man and had saved the contact under the name Pudding. Their messages showed a flirtatious, role-playing dynamic. She referred to herself as Harley Quinn and the other man as the Joker. When Stephen confronted her about the messages, he says she completely lost control, becoming aggressive and escalating the situation into chaos. After everything unfolded, and after thousands of comments flooded in, Stephen eventually posted a follow-up video. This time, his message was directed at the people who had shown him empathy and support. It was a moment of reflection amid the storm of reactions, misunderstandings, and viral judgment that had turned his personal pain into a public spectacle.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for the love and support and kind words. I want to share something with you. This is a book I published this year. It's called Structural Racism: The Dynamics of Opportunity and Race in America. I think it's probably one of the most detailed and precise descriptions of how racial inequality arises and is maintained in America. And it's got lots of images, lots of citations, lots of statistics and graphics, but it's also laced with important stories about how people grow up, their opportunities in life, and their disadvantages. And it's really something I've worked on for 15 years, and I would love for you to help support me. I will put the links to where you can get it in the comments. If you get a copy of this, I will send you a signed card bookmark to insert, and I'll send you a personal note, and I'd be happy to follow you on TikTok. This book is just a passion project, and it's so important that we deal with this problem of structural racism. And I'm just so proud.
In this follow-up video, Stephen seemed to have several goals. On one hand, it appeared he was promoting his new book, but on the other, it felt like he was also trying to rationalize his girlfriend's behavior. His explanation centered around the idea of structural racism, suggesting that her actions were, in some way, a byproduct of the social and systemic inequities she faced. While that argument might sound thoughtful on the surface, it doesn't hold up when you look closer. As someone who has personally experienced the effects of structural racism in America, I can say with confidence that it should never be used to justify abuse or violence. Oppression may shape how we see the world, but it doesn't excuse cruelty or destructive choices. Unfortunately, this tendency to overlook or explain away dysfunction, especially within Black communities, is something I often see among liberal thinkers who mean well but end up enabling the very behaviors they claim to critique. Yes, Stephen might be compassionate and socially aware. Yes, he even wrote a book on systemic inequality. But none of that changes the fact that the woman he was with cheated on him, disrespected him, and physically harmed him. It raises a valid question. Why would an educated, seemingly successful man continue a relationship with someone displaying such troubling behavior? From his videos, it looks like Stephen lives in the Bay Area. He even films near UC Berkeley, so it's not as if he lacks access to professional, educated Black women who might share his values. Instead, he chose someone who repeatedly asked him for weed money and appeared to be struggling in multiple areas of life. It's a personal decision, of course, but one that comes with consequences. When you knowingly pursue someone with deep-seated issues, you can't act surprised when those issues surface. His situation also reveals an uncomfortable truth. Not every interracial relationship is automatically healthy or progressive. Some fall apart in the same toxic ways as any other, and when they do, they often attract more public scrutiny. The lesson here isn't about race. It's about accountability and discernment. And there's a takeaway for Black women, too. Some believe that dating outside their race will somehow guarantee a better experience, but the reality is that behavior and self-awareness still matter. Entering a relationship with someone from another background doesn't lower the standard, it raises it. When you represent your culture in an unfamiliar space, your actions reflect not only on you, but unfairly on your entire community. As someone living in Africa now, I've learned that lesson firsthand. Every day, I'm mindful of how I carry myself, how I contribute to the local community, and what kind of energy I bring into shared spaces. There's no room for the casual habits or careless attitudes that might have gone unnoticed back home. When you're among another group of people, you have to add value, not diminish it. So, if some sisters think dating white men, or anyone outside their culture, means they can behave however they want, I've got news. It doesn't work that way. Respect, effort, and emotional maturity are universal expectations.
So, what do you think?
Once again, it's your boy Osha Duke Jackson, back with another episode of the Celebrity Junk. Thanks for the love and support. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell.